Hi everyone and welcome to Lab 3-2. In this lab we are going to be working with Power BI. So Power BI stands for Business Intelligence, and Power BI is a Microsoft data visualization product. So we are going to be using Power BI to create what is called a word cloud data visualization. So let's hop over to the computer now and work on this together. All right, so we are in Power BI. It's a Microsoft product, and if you're not aware, that BI in Power BI stands for Business Intelligence. So this is a software tool that allows us to create data visualizations, take raw data, manipulate it, create a visualization so that we can develop business intelligence from that data. All right, so the Power BI is laid out as you see on your screen here. Up top, like all Microsoft products, all Microsoft Office products, there is a ribbon, and this is where we interact and manipulate things. So we have a home tab, which has our standard copy paste. It has a menu here for importing data from other sources. We have some insert functionality here as we work through our visualization and some other things here. The View tab has, interestingly, a little toggle here if we wanted to look at our visualization in the format of a phone. So if we wanted to see what it would look like in like an iPhone shape as opposed to like in the desktop app, we can do that. We have some modeling things that we can do, which are more advanced features. So if you remember when we looked at Microsoft Access, we matched tables based on their relationships and primary keys and foreign keys. So we can do something similar here in Power BI. And then we have our help menu. So that is the ribbon up top. In the middle here we have what's called the canvas, and this is where we work with our data visualization. On the right we have these slide out menus. They collapse and they expand. And so this is where we will control and fine-tune the data that we're working with. We can add filters, we can pick the visualizations that we want to use, and we can control the fields of the data that we're working with. All right, so the first step here is we want to import our data. So I'm going to go back to the Home tab here up top. I'm going to click Get Data. I'm going to say the data that I want is in Excel format, so I'll click Excel. I have the data saved on my desktop. You might have it saved somewhere else, but I'm going to open up this Lab 3-2 data. And let's see what this looks like. All right, so we get this navigator window. This navigator window is used to preview the data and make any changes to the data that we might want to change before we start working with it. So I'm just going to click on Survey Responses. This is a tab name within that Excel file, and you can kind of see what the contents are. This is kind of a self-serving lab. This lab was written by the textbook authors, and the textbook authors are accounting professors. And so when I say it's self-serving, they created fictitious student evaluations and student evaluation comments. And so these are pretty positive comments that they've written about themselves, but you know they're designed to allow us to look at manipulating a word cloud visualization. Okay, so we have student comments. You can kind of see they're listed in the rows of the Excel file. Not very useful unless you take the time and read each one. So what we're trying to accomplish here is to kind of let's take this ball or rows of text and let's summarize this in something that's maybe a little more digestible. All right, so we have this data selected. It's from the Survey Response tab in Excel. If we wanted to, we could transform this data. Let's say we're working with something we know should be formatted as a date, but for whatever reason in this preview, that date variable is showing up as a number, and we want to reformat that as a date variable. We could do that with the transform data variable, but we have what we want here, so I'm just going to click load. All right, And so we are getting this screen here saying that the information is being loaded up into Power BI. And you can see it's complete now because the message has gone away about the progress. And over here on the right, now you can see the fields are listed for that file. Okay, so we can click, we want to pull in data from column 1 of that survey response tab. And now what we want to do is we want to, this looks the same as it did in Excel, and that's not how we want this to look. So I'm just going to, first thing is first, I'm just going to make this visualization fill the entire canvas. But currently we don't have a visualization. So what can we do? Well, we want to add a word cloud. And what we want to do is under visualizations here, we have different things that we could, different kinds of visualizations that we can use. And you can see as I click through these, like the bar charts aren't going to work because we have text data. So, not a really good way of visualizing, or, not a method for visualizing text data. We don't really get anything out of this. So what we want to do is we want to add a word cloud, but it's not part of the default Power BI package. So as long as we're signed in, and I happen to be signed in here, as long as we're signed into our LaSalle account within Power BI, we can click on these 3 dots and we can import a new visualization type from the Power BI marketplace. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to search for what's called word cloud, and you can see it's already here under recommended, but if it's not there for you, you would search. We're going to use this word cloud visualization. We'll click add, and it says import custom visual. The visual was successfully imported into this report. Okay, we're good to go. We'll click OK. And now we can see that we have this little W visualization that wasn't here before. If we click that, we can reformat that data. Now it's no longer trying to slam it into a bar chart or something like that. Now we have this word cloud, and the way these word cloud visualizations work is that they display the words so that the words that are used most often appear the largest in this visualization. Now you can see we see like prepositions and he and to and the and was, and so that this doesn't really give us any information. Just standard words that are being repeated, and I don't know what that tells us about the student evaluations. So let's see if we can play around with the formatting here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go to back to visualizations here, and we want to click on this format tab, right? This little paintbrush, or it's not a paintbrush, it's a paint roller. They're getting cute. Over here it's format is with a paintbrush. Over here it's a paint roller. All right, we get it. Important thing here is when we click on this format thing, we want to make sure that we are still clicked onto this column 1 field, because otherwise we won't have anything to format. So we're going to click format. Under general, we want to change the maximum number of words that appear from 200 to, let's limit this to 50. Okay. All right, so you can kind of see it's changing as we make these adjustments. And then if we scroll down a little bit more, there's something called stop words. And stop words are words that we want to stop them from appearing. We want to keep them from appearing in the report. And so things like the and to and he and their, they're not useful. We need them in the English language to make sense of a sentence, but in terms of like, do we want to know the word end was said 56 times? No, that doesn't give us information. So what we want to do is we want to click on the default stop words. And so this will eliminate the those and ends and he's and all those words. And then we can also add some things that we maybe words that we don't find particularly useful. So let's add our own custom words. And so maybe like things like looks like professors in here. So I don't know if that adds anything. So let's eliminate professor. What else is in here that we don't want very in here? I wouldn't think you would want very. I don't know. Maybe you do. What else? Are there any other words in here that don't help us? Maybe, I don't know if students is helpful. Students. What else? I don't know if class is useful. All right, so as we take out some of these words that are not that we're not finding useful, maybe this becomes more and more. The word cloud becomes more and more informative. So maybe like the word made. I don't know if that does. All right, so we're kind of seeing themes here. Best. The word best is mentioned a lot, and so that's useful if you're thinking about student evaluations. Questions, so that's assuming the student's saying they can ask questions of the student, or I mean of the professor. Maybe that's helpful. Make, I don't know what make does for us, so I'm going to take that out. All right, and so you can see as we're taking out some of these words that are not informative, it's making room for other words to kind of grow in size, and highlighting some of those words that are not that weren't initially highlighted. So important, material, took, date, questions, willing, always. So these are starting to become more useful. Engage, homework. I don't know if sure is helpful. Let's take that out. Review, that's helpful. Enthusiastic, good. Outside, concepts, work, exams. Life, subject, teaching, provided. I don't know if more is useful. Let's take that out. More. All right. So, I mean, I think at this point you kind of understand what this is doing. And to be honest with you, I don't find these word clouds very useful. Okay, so I can kind of quickly see the word best is said a lot, but what's the context of that? Should I interpret that positively, negatively? Probably positively, but are they saying he's the best of the worst? Something like that. So, okay, it's cool. It looks kind of colorful and interesting, but I don't know if you get actionable information out of this. And so, but I mean, people prefer to see things in lots of different ways. This isn't one of the ways I prefer to see it, but it's there, and I think after this lab, you have an understanding of how to create one. So that concludes this lab video. I hope that you found it helpful. I hope that you've taken away from this video, at the very least, the setup of Power BI and how to navigate things in Power BI. All right, well, thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll talk to you real soon.